Continuing on the theme of destroyers versus aircraft carriers now, we have one that comes with a smokescreen, the Fletcher. Hello, I am Xarkun and this is World of Warships Legends. Today on the Shards map in a domination mode game, we have Liquid Abyss, one of the original channel members of this channel in the Tier 7 American destroyer Fletcher. Like the game I put up yesterday featuring the Monk 52, this one features a destroyer versus an aircraft carrier. And in this one, Liquid Abyss does show us a little bit about how you can sort of counter what an aircraft carrier might want to do to you in a destroyer using a smoke screen. Monk, in yesterday's video, of course, did not have that luxury because Le Fantasque does not have a smoke screen. Now, I said in that video yesterday, a lot of destroyers seem to be paralyzed with the inability to do anything whenever there's an aircraft carrier in the game, but the presence of an aircraft carrier doesn't mean you can't still play the cap circles. After all, the planes can only be in one location of the map at any given time, and it looks like the red planes are over the Bravo cap. Liquid Abyss here in the Alpha Cap is laying down some fire on this Fletcher, who did try to smoke up, but has essentially failed, sailed out of his smoke, exposed himself to the guns of Liquid Abyss, and actually the friendly Massachusetts helps Liquid Abyss finish off the Fletcher for the blue team's first kill of the game. Now, Liquid Abyss is still spotted thanks to the other Fletcher out there who has a line of sight on him from inside of the Bravo cap. We see Liquid reversing into the Alpha cap now. He was close to flipping it when he accidentally sailed out of it, but not quite. He's going to smoke up now as he continues laying down fire on this enemy Bismarck, who is sailing broadside to him. He lights a fire on the Bismarck, and now he can just sit in this smoke screen safely, take the capture circle for his team, and lay down some fire on this enemy battleship, maybe even that enemy destroyer. Of course, the Fletcher appears briefly and then disappears again, so Liquid resumes his campaign of Daka Daka on the Bismarck. Looked like the enemy aircraft carrier did fly some torpedo bombers over this way. Chose not to blind drop Liquid Abyss in the smoke. I think I've said before in a previous aircraft carrier video of mine that because these Tier 7 aircraft carriers drop 3 torpedoes in a relatively narrow spread, or at least the Shokaku spread is relatively narrow, the Lexington spread is a little bit wider, but in either case, the torpedoes don't cover a lot of real estate. So if you do want to drop them blind in a smoke screen, you want to get a pretty good idea of where the destroyer is sitting within that smoke screen. Otherwise, your torpedoes are probably going to miss, and even if you do have a good idea of where the destroyer is sitting, your torpedoes still are likely to miss, provided the destroyer is moving around within the smoke screen and all that. And something like a Fletcher would be particularly difficult to drop since it comes with that extremely long duration American smoke screen. You can see that for the past 2 minutes this thing has been going and it's just dipped under the 1 minute mark on the smoke screen timer. So Liquid Abyss has had plenty of time here to farm damage off of this Colorado and the other battleship out there. He hasn't actually farmed all that much damage, though. He's up to 42,000 damage right now, and a portion of that came from the enemy Fletcher that he gunned down earlier on in the match. But he does get his first kill there, taking the Colorado out with a fire, and now he's going to move toward Bravo. We can see that the enemy team is ahead on both kills and points, and they also hold 2 capture circles. This is something that can't be allowed to stand for too long. But take a look at the positioning of the 2 friendly destroyers down there south, sort of between Bravo and Charlie. These 2 destroyers are at no point in this game going to come anywhere near a cap circle, much less flip one. That job is going to be left to Liquid Abyss, and right now another enemy Fletcher is standing between him and a capture circle, so he opens up he has a decided hit points advantage versus this Fletcher who didn't immediately respond to him, and the Fletcher goes down almost instantly, leaving the capture circle essentially open to Liquid Abyss for him to take, although there is a Wichita out there in the distance outside of radar range at the moment, but he could quickly change that. The Wichita is taking fire from the friendly cruiser and probably the friendly battleship behind Liquid Abyss, benefiting from Liquid's spotting of the Wichita, and destroyers are still an important spotting piece in the game, even with the existence of these aircraft carriers. Now, the CV does drop Liquid Abyss there with some dive bombs and actually scores a hit. I don't know whether that hit did any damage, but it definitely broke a module, which forced Liquid Abyss to use his damage control. The Wichita gets taken down thanks to the combined firepower of Liquid Abyss and his teammates, and now this cap circle is basically open. He's still being spotted by the planes, although looks like they've gone away. He shot 2 of them down. The Fletcher's anti-aircraft armament isn't anything to sneeze at when you're in an aircraft carrier. It does throw up quite a bit of flak, in my experience, for a destroyer, and it can take down your plane, so you do need to be careful. The aircraft carrier is wasting no time, though. He's spotting Liquid Abyss again, and here Liquid makes potentially a fatal error. You never want to come to a complete stop like this when there's an aircraft carrier trying to drop you and you're in a destroyer. Makes it a lot easier for the aircraft carrier to hit you both with its torpedoes and its dive bombers because you are a stationary target. But the danger has passed now. Liquid Abyss has extricated himself from the island. He's captured Bravo, and now he's going to head toward Alpha, or Charlie, rather. But the whole idea of this is, again, I point back to the 2 friendly destroyers on the team. They haven't been doing nothing. They've been sort of holding down that flank over there, perhaps impeding the enemy push south through Charlie down toward Bravo with torpedoes, or at least the Kagero over there has been doing that. He's been launching torpedoes in the area of the ships as they push. So he is sort of countering that push. He is giving them something to think about with his torpedoes in the water, but he's not really playing the objectives, and neither was that Benson. In fact, Liquid Abyss is the only destroyer in this game on his team that has played the objectives, and he is responsible for the 2 capture circles that his team holds. This is still something you want to do when you're in a destroyer, is play the objectives, despite the risk of being spotted, and there are ways to mitigate that risk with careful positioning. If you are spotted, and you have island cover, say, between you and the other enemy ships, then it sort of doesn't really matter if the carrier is spotting you if you're in a place where the enemy ships can't even shoot at you. Excuse any noise you might hear in the background. My cat is moving around in his little chair, and he likes to make a lot of noise. Anyway, if the enemy ships can't shoot you, then spotting isn't all that much of a threat, and if the enemy ships can shoot you, you do always have the option to smoke up. Keep in mind that smoke conceals you from planes as well as surface ships, so you do have to deploy your smoke carefully in situations like this. You don't want to run out of it and be smokeless in a situation where you're being spotted by planes. But there, Liquid Abyss takes down the enemy Surrey, who is on low health. He's smoking up now as the carrier attempts to drop him, and he does land a single torpedo on the Bismarck there. He's got 3 kills to his name. It's just the Bismarck and the enemy aircraft carrier left. Now, the Bismarck is quite close to Liquid's position, and as we all know, or maybe some of us may not know, the Bismarck comes with the hydroacoustic search consumable, and I think it has a range of 4.4 kilometers, I want to say, to detect ships. So if the Bismarck was running that consumable right now, Liquid Abyss would be almost certainly spotted, but it doesn't seem like the Bismarck has hydroacoustic search available to him. So there's really no danger here to Liquid Abyss apart from the planes. Looks like the enemy aircraft carrier is actually going after one of Liquid's destroyer teammates over there. Not sure which destroyer it is, but you can see on the mini-map that there are red dive bombers hovering above one of those blue destroyers. Whether that enemy carrier takes out the destroyer, I don't know, but the Bismarck is certainly about to go down, and that just leaves the enemy aircraft carrier left. So you can see how vital Liquid Abyss was to his team here in this game. Again, he's the only one really responsible for taking both of the objectives, which has given his team a comfortable points lead. This is, still a pretty close game. This carrier, there's nothing to say that he couldn't use his bombers to take out that enemy cruiser and both of these enemy destroyers and win it for his team. It absolutely can be done, although it would require somebody with a fair amount of experience in aircraft carriers and, a good feel for drops in order to actually get it done. The carrier is trying to drop Liquid Abyss here, but he's not exactly succeeding with the torpedo bombers. The Lexington's torpedo bombers, even after the buff, are still kind of slow, and I find that they aren't the best for hitting destroyers, but the dive bombers certainly are, and they are dangerous. Looks like, though, that Liquid Abyss, he's spotting the Lexington, and he's also the only one in any kind of position to shoot at it, which is nice, because in situations like this, where the carrier, you're playing against one without too much experience, he's not getting successful drops on you, there's really nothing he can do to stop you, and he just is kind of a damage pinata here for Liquid Abyss, which is nice. You can see that the carrier is not armored really in any way to speak of, so Liquid Abyss is getting a lot of penetrations with the armor piercing. If only he could find the citadel of this Lexington, I'm sure he could penetrate it and score damage that way. But the Lexington has gone around the island. I think he's exposing himself to fire from the last remaining friendly cruiser. Liquid Abyss's damage has ticked over the 100k mark. He's got 3 kills to his name and 2 capture circles, as well as some of those green defender ribbons. So this is going to translate into quite a bit of XP for Liquid Abyss at the end of this game, despite the, 100,000 damage isn't nothing, but it's not a huge amount in comparison to what you could potentially get in a Tier 7 game. But once again, it's not all about damage with destroyers at all. It's about playing the objectives, and Liquid Abyss did that here, even in spite of the Lexington's presence in this game. You can still play the objectives in destroyers with aircraft carriers, and you should, because playing the objectives is how you win the game. And of course, Liquid Abyss did a pretty good job doing that. He finishes with 106,000 damage, 2 capture circle ribbons to his name, and 3,500 base XP. An excellent result. Hope you liked the video. If so, give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.